The latest installment of our Wounded City series, we're hearing from the man heading up Mayor Cantrell's Violent Crime Task Force.
Well, Tyrell Morris, he joined us for a roundtable discussion about crime a few weeks ago, but today I sat down with him one-on-one to talk about whether his task force is making any progress and what he hopes it will achieve under his leadership.
Well, I think that what the task force is focused on specifically is...
There were questions when Tyrell Morris was tapped to lead the city's violent crime reduction task force instead of someone more directly connected to the criminal justice system.
Absolutely.
Morris is the executive director of the Orleans Parish Communication District, but he believes Mayor Cantrell wanted a fresh set of eyes on one of the city's oldest problems.
We sit at the center of every emergency and non-emergency, and we have the infrastructure and technology to kind of present data on the table for decision makers in a way. When you balance an outside opinion with the individuals that have been ingrained in the New Orleans culture, that is a perfect recipe for success. And I think this is an opportunity for us to come together.
After our roundtable discussion, Morris commented on public skepticism, which seems to stem from growing public infighting with the city administration and the city council.
You mentioned divisiveness. We have a tendency in New Orleans to eat our own. The last 2 years, the tension has been high and not necessarily always focused on the results. Everyone has to come to the table with an innovative mind and willing to listen.
And he believes that innovation is key to changing the troubling trend in violence we're seeing across New Orleans.
The first week of the year was incredibly deadly, but we knew we had to do something. And so I think we're seeing the data finally show us that the trends of bloodshed are slowing down. The latest report from the police department for January alone is over a 25% reduction in violent crime since January of last year.
And the goal of the crime task force, according to Morris, aligns with those of the interim superintendent, Michelle Woodfork, who is also a part of the same task force. Woodfork released a plan focused on improving public safety, recruitment and retention, and department efficiency.
I think in the month and a few weeks that the superintendent's been in place, she's been very bold in her deployment strategy.
But a timetable for execution may be unlikely for now, as a national search is planned to find a permanent replacement for NOPD superintendent. Woodfork is a second-generation NOPD officer and says her plan looks back at what has worked in the past. Still, Morris says the highly touted Pennington plan, named for former police chief Richard Pennington, which drove down crime in the 90s, wouldn't fare well in today's climate and given today's resources.
That plan was executed with 1,500 officers. There was no consent decree. There wasn't this national dissonance with law enforcement. I don't know if that plan, if executed today, would render the same results, if any. It may hurt our communities even more.
What our roundtable agreed on were systemic issues need to be confronted.
Dealing with COVID-19, violence, everyone has guns.
Recently, Mayor Cantrell's comments connecting the pandemic to the rise in violence in New Orleans caused an uproar. Morris says there is a correlation between our community's losses and lack of stability in many homes, disproportionately in the Black community.
Every city, major city in America, are where we're beginning to feel the real impacts of COVID-19, where we had desperation amongst our families, where unemployment was huge. We have families that have not fully recovered. When you talk to our young people, not all of them, though some of them, about why they are committing certain crimes, it's because they're in a place of desperation. Dr. Wyatt said it so eloquently at the roundtable that we have to restore basic human services and we should see a reduction in crime.
A lot of the times when we're trying to solve issues that directly impact people, we leave out the people who are directly impacted.
But the crime wave has the community at a point of desperation for something to be done and to have long-lasting results, hoping outlets like our Wounded City Roundtable pushes politics aside in order to reimagine our approach to the fight against crime.
I'm the conductor, and even on the task force, I don't proclaim to have all the answers, but what I can do, I can bring us together, I can organize our thoughts, and I can strategically put us on a marching path towards a common goal.
So he invites the community to share tips about problem areas or crime hotspots, or even submit requests to meet with the task force to NOLA.gov/violence task force. Now you can watch the Wounded City documentary and that roundtable discussion on our WWL YouTube pages.